All right, everybody, Rob Ferretti here, and I am going to tell you about the $3 million lawsuit that I just concluded. Let's put it that way. But first, 10 years ago today, you know where I was? I was getting married. Happy anniversary to me and my wife. 10 years ago today, we were down in the Bahamas, getting married virtually down to the minute. But now I'm spending it with you, before I go to dinner, obviously. But let's talk about this lawsuit. So there was a $3 million class action lawsuit that I had to weather. And class action lawyers are pretty much the worst lawyers ever. They're soulless, terrible people. They look around for, and you know, there's one person maybe other than the lawyers that enjoys a class action lawsuit, and that's whoever is the head of the class. The first person to be like, yeah, I'll stand behind that. Everybody else gets 12 cents. Like, oh, cool, check for $3.12 for my class action lawsuit. Lawyers make $800,000, million, $2 million, $3 million, and you guys get nothing, all for some far from noble cause that they're like, well, yeah, absolutely, that was a travesty of justice. How could they do that? So, yeah, so I was involved in one of those. At Gotham Dream Cars, we were looking at, me personally, my partner Noah personally, and the company was listed in a $3 million class action lawsuit, which stated that we used inappropriate language on our contract. So, whatever, okay, yeah, what happened? There was a law in New Jersey, it was a TWCCA or something like that, and it deemed that a specific language was illegal. Now, ideally it would fall back on our contract lawyer because we paid for the contract lawyer, we paid for the contract to be drawn up, and they have E&O insurance, which is errors and omissions insurance if they miss something or they screw something up. Unfortunately, our lawyer, who was the best in the business, he was an older gentleman, and he passed on as the life cycle permits. And he was no longer available to be represented or to be defended or even be involved in this lawsuit. So we had to now defend a class action lawsuit. And in order for a class action lawsuit, you need something else. You need a trigger. Our trigger was a bad customer. And we had a guy who rented a Lamborghini to do Gumball in, right? These guys are sort of eccentric to begin with, but this guy, he's from the UK, came over here, spent, I think it was like $45,000 to rent a Lamborghini LP640 Roadster for the week, drove from New York to LA. That was the goal. He came, gave him a car, drove it. He had some, oh, the air conditioning doesn't work. And part of it's like, look, it's a Lamborghini LP640 Roadster. We had the car inspected before it went out. Everything checked out. Everything was good. And you're telling me the air conditioning doesn't work. Maybe it's because it's the middle of July. You're driving through the hot temperatures. You're cranking the air conditioning up to max with the top off. It doesn't really work so well. Long story short, it kept going. I'm like, look, all right. He brought it to a shop in, let's just say St. Louis. He went up into Canada, came down, Indianapolis, made it to St. Louis. He brought it to an air conditioning shop. I said, bring it over there. I'll pay to have them recharge the AC. Yeah, they said it's not the charge. The AC checks out fine. Okay, great. So it's probably a compressor. No problem. Next thing I know, they were going maybe one or two more stops. I call up and I order a $4,300 AC compressor. They're not cheap. Now I know that you can get them much cheaper because it's a Bosch part. Long story, don't worry about it, another video. But I ordered a compressor from Lamborghini in Miami, had them overnight it to the guy's next stop, where the nearest Lamborghini dealership was, which was Denver. Lamborghini in Denver had the compressor. They were expecting them. I put them in the Omni Hotel right next door so they can get their car fixed and get right back into their rally, right? Everything sounds good. Sure enough, the guy's like, we don't want to wait. So they took the compressor, and then they were going to have the guys in Vegas do it. Then in Vegas, they decided to just abandon the car, leave the car there, and say, we're going to rent something else. I'm like, look, I'll rent you something else, right? Call up another company, and I'm like, look, give them they're just going now from Vegas to LA, which is 200 miles, whatever it is, 250 miles. So their trip is effectively over. They did 2,000 and change miles. They had that last home stretch, which was Vegas to LA. Anyway, guy gets back from his trip, and he says, yeah, what are you going to do for me? The car was crap. I'm like, well, the car wasn't crap, first off. And I'm like, I got to wait till the car comes back. I now have to have a truck detour to Vegas to pick it up because all the other cars are being returned in LA. So I did that. I'm like, I got to inspect the car. I'm not just going to take your word on it. I'm not going to take the guy's word on it. Get the car back. Front bumper's mangled. He smashed up the front bumper. And then we get the mechanics on the air compressor, the AC compressor, perfectly fine. Recharged it, blows ice cold, good to go. So maybe the guy in St. Louis, the refrigerator king, whatever you want to call him, wasn't able to fix it. Again, not my problem. I did everything within my power to accommodate the guy. Ultimately, he wasn't so happy. So I was like, look, you know what? I'll reimburse you for your rental car from Vegas to LA. It's $4,000, something. It was a big number. But I was willing to concede a little bit. And I'm like, but you've done the damage. You got to pay for the damage. I now have a $4,000 air compressor or AC compressor that I ship back and forth across the country that I get no value out of because I don't need it and I can't return it. All of these things. So his only acceptable response was, I want a full refund. I'm like, I'm not giving you a full refund, guy. Like, you're not driving 2,200, 2,500 miles, whatever you did on my car, damaging it, bringing it back to me, leaving it in the middle of Las Vegas, and then saying, give me all my money back. That's just not how the world works. Anyway, that guy ended up being the head of the class, or the whatever. But anyway, so that guy was the head of the class, and he led the class action lawsuit. We used verbiage in our contract which said the contract is governed by the laws of the state of New Jersey. If the contract takes place outside of the state of New Jersey, local law will apply, right? Meaning, like, if it's in Connecticut and Connecticut doesn't have a law that says you have to be 21 to rent, then local law obviously supersedes whatever our contract says. Well, local law will apply. Using that one phrase is illegal in Jersey. So then we find ourselves, after this guy hired a lawyer, we're like, look, this guy's not entitled to anything. There's no fraud. And if anything, he broke the key off, so the key was broken. And then we had to get a new key from Lamborghini. We lost the car for a month. This guy ended up owing us significantly more money than we collected, even with his security deposit, and giving him credit for the rental car. So that was going nowhere. That was just a headache in itself. But then, like 2 years later, this class action lawsuit came about, and this guy was right at the front of it. And I don't think that was his doing. I think that's the law firm saying, like, hey, we're going to file a class action suit. It wasn't just against my company. There were like 6 other companies in North Jersey, big dealerships, furniture stores, and they all had that same where applicable by law or where permitted by law, local law will apply, whatever that phrase was in all these contracts. So how does that equate to $3 million? Well, the penalty for that is $100 per use, and then treble damages for consumer fraud. And it was then going to cost us $300 per contract that we had that verbiage on going back for 7 years. Now you think, whatever, you start doing the math right there, the numbers get huge real quick. So now we're like, oh shit, we got a $3 million class action lawsuit. They named me and Noah personally, saying like, well, you guys defrauded this guy by, he cited we had a Gumball package on our website. And the Gumball package is like, yeah, we understand what the Gumball is. So we'll include the sticker removal, the detail, the extra service, and additional wear and tear will be factored in as, with the mileage and everything like that, will be factored in as a Gumball package. Then, or I forget what the exact verbiage was, he claimed that it was then an all-inclusive package, and that entitles him to damage the car and not have to pay for it. I'm like, front bumper's hanging off the car. Like it's a $20,000 front bumper, and we fixed it. We didn't replace it. But you've got like a tear in the front bumper. Here are the photos of you when you received it. Here are the photos when you returned it. It's like clear as day that you damaged this car. And he's like, wow, fraud, you guys are defrauding me because you said it was all-inclusive. We're like, it doesn't say all-inclusive. It's called a Gumball package. And it doesn't say you're allowed to damage it. You can't go on an all-inclusive vacation, set the resort on fire, and be like, whoa, it's entitled to set it on fire. It's part of my all-inclusive package. You don't say, I can't set it on fire, but we do, because we have a damage deposit. We have a contract. The contract specifies, including the illegal verbiage, specified what was included, what wasn't included with his rental. Fast forward, the class action lawsuit goes for a couple of years. We end up winning and prevailing on the class action lawsuit because the argument was that there was no financial, it's not something that we like charged people a fee that we weren't entitled to charge. Like, we didn't charge people $1 for that. It was just words in there. Nobody's been impacted. It has not cost or made anyone one penny for any of the companies that were involved in this suit. So it was essentially just a frivolous lawsuit. And that cost us a lot of money to defend. Fast forward, then they appealed that decision, and then they lost the appeal. So that's dead in the water. I mean, the trying to go to the Supreme Court to argue that is never going to happen. It's just one of those things that you lose. Like, you lost, you took a risk. There was a big payout at the end, but screw you, class action lawyers. You now have wasted your time on that one. Enjoy your other 50 class action lawsuits you're probably working on at the same time. So I would like to say, escaped that, but we didn't, because I think we spent about $140,000 in legal bills fighting it, which is absurd. Because if you think about it, we had a $45,000 rental with damage, which mileage, depreciation, labor, transport costs, spare parts that we didn't need. And that turned into a $140,000 legal bill. So even, let's just say, on a rental like that, even if we made $20,000 net, $15,000, $20,000 net, it then cost us $140,000 to defend that bullshit litigation. And that sucks. So you would think I made $3 million. I feel like it, but we didn't. It cost us, I'm like jumping up and down, and it cost us a net $120,000 to sort of clear our name and not have to deal with that. But that would have been unfortunate. It would have sucked. We would have had to then, if we did lose that, we would have had to spend more money to try to get that reversed. And I'm glad it's dead in the water and it was found for what it is, which is absolute hogwash. And if nothing more, the takeaway from this video should be class action lawyers suck. And just, I've always, every time I get one of those things in the mail, hey, you could be eligible, I don't do it. It's like, I just don't want those guys to get the satisfaction. Unfortunately, they don't need you. So even if they've got 3 people, 5 people, I guess you can make a class. I don't know what the minimum is. But now we're left, this guy still has a bill with us, so we may end up having to continue to go after him. If somebody is super eager and they want to go after a fun one, you're an attorney in New Jersey, fire me a message. I'll give you something to work on. Thanks for watching. Happy anniversary to me. See you tomorrow. For those of you not familiar with my other company, I started a company called Adventure Drives, which combines driving and bucket list travel. So it's a lot of fun. Our next trip is up to the Northern Lights in Iceland at the end of February. We're going to be doing snowmobiling on glaciers, off-roading, taking a dip in the Blue Lagoon, and drinking whiskey until we're silly. So that's going to be a lot of fun. After that, we're off to Europe for a trip in July. If you're interested, prices can be done per person. It starts at about $3,000 per person for Iceland. Don't worry, if you don't have somebody to go with you, we can match you up with somebody. You can check the link in the description for adventuredrives.com and sign up today.